Sonic screwdrivers, Netco kitties, and adventure games? I'm talking Defcon Badgelife, yo. How good is Motorola's $130 E4, the chrome extensions we can't live without? And hey, get your eyes checked, people. All that more coming up on TekThing. TekThing is brought to you by patrons like Dwayne L., David M., Eric with a K, and James J. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we can't make the show for you every week. Hey, if the show makes your life easier and your tech more secure, head on over to patreon.com/TekThing and give something back. We'd appreciate it.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
Shannon did not break my laptop in pre-show. She tried.
I tried to.
She failed. But the day is not over yet.
But it was really fun.
Which is why I have backup software running constantly, because you never know when Shannon's going to be running around breaking laptops.
I'm not that bad, although you know what? Part of the hacker ethos, if you will, is to actually try to break things and make them do things that they never did before. So today I'm talking about #Badgelife, which is awesome. Ever since the earlier times of DEF CON, electronic badges have been given out. And this happens every other year. Every other year they give out all these different electronic badges. Probably to keep the cost down. That's probably why they don't do it every single year. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, I know. The badge things can, I mean, one year it was records, one year it was like little squishy things, which was not nearly as exciting as these. But what did this turn out to be? This is one of the official badges. The green one is the press badge, the vendor badges, speaker badges. There are all sorts of different badges, and they all work together to tell a story.
Exactly. Yeah. So this year I was all about that badge life. I collected so many. I'll show you all the different ones I got, but this year, #Badgelife was big, so I wanted to give a rundown on what this year's badge was and how it actually worked. So DEF CON has a ton of contests, and if you win a contest, you also win a black badge. This black badge is called like the Uber badge. It's the one that will get you into every single DEF CON till the end of time for free. So you will never have to pay for a badge ever again, and you just keep on getting in for free. And since the electronic badges are given out to each and every one of the people that is in attendance to DEF CON, there's different colors for whatever you go for, and basically serves as the proof of payment that you actually deserve to be there.
Your badge is your attendance.
It is
your badge. You don't
It's your
get
ticket
in.
into the event. So it allows you entry into the convention, and it also gives each attendee a really easy way and a chance to win a contest, to win a black badge, because you've already gotten one of these since you paid to go to the convention.
There is no easy winning the contest.
No.
It does give you a free chance or a chance to win the contest, but there is never an easy way to win a contest at
Very
DEF CON,
true.
unless it's a drinking contest.
So the electronic badge plays along with the theme too, and this year's theme, as you can see on my computer, was 1983, the view from dystopia's edge. So it's like the counter future to Orwell's 1984, so the badge played along with that theme as well. So your goal with this year's badge was to unlock the full ASCII code of storyline that would also unlock each and every character in the word DEF CON. So as you can see on mine, I currently just have 2 characters unlocked. Now if you make each of the characters on this badge green, then that means you've got a hacker-friendly utopian future. If they all turn red, then you've got a dystopian future. So there were several different badges handed out. There was the attendee one, like you mentioned, there's vendor, artist, CTF, speaker, press, I believe there's a goon badge. I think there were like 6 or 7 different ones. Each of these has green characters on the board as well as red characters, and you can move them up and down and side to side with little pads at the bottom that have the little DEF CON logo, as well as 2 different buttons side by side. These would be like A and B on a Nintendo console controller, but in this case it's 2 and 6 because it's DEF CON 26. Yeah, so it totally makes sense. So I ended up getting both the press and the vendor badge because Sarah didn't want her vendor badge, so she gave it to me. And each of them have a different map. So if you see them side by side, both of them have different layouts on the boards. And it turns out both of them also have different stories. They have a different plot and the ability that if you pair them together with other badges, that can change your storyline. Now if I move my little green character to a specific spot on the board and then I pair with another type of badge so I can plug them together, in together, then I might get a different outcome with my storyline. It's really, really deep. Like, this thing goes really, really deep down the rabbit hole. So the storyline makes it even more fun if you plug in a little USB serial cable to connect the badge to your computer, and then it enumerates on dev TTY ACM0. Then you can pull up the port on a command line. So for example, I'll show you my Linux PC. You gain access to the ASCII text story. So I use sudo screen/dev/TTY-ACM0 to access the text game. And once you wiggle around a little bit on your D-pad and on the 2 and 6 on the actual badge, you'll notice that the storyline kind of starts. And depending on where your character is on the board, and if I move it left to right and up and down, I get different entries. And you can actually read what's going on the storyline on your Linux computer inside the command line. So for example, if I go down to the restaurant, and I'm a press badge, right? So I have a whole press story. It's talking about how I'm a journalist, I want to get the story out. So I can go down here and talk to a source, but it turns out that source doesn't have any information for me. They just remember what they ate that day or whatever. So then I can move on to the next place and see what happens there.
Did a Gru eat your face?
Gru ate my face. And the interesting thing is there's 2 different plots for each of these different places, and there might even be more. So if I choose the 6 while I'm standing in one place, it might light up the 0 in Defcon in that word. And I'll also get a different storyline. And then if I turn that one on and then move to a different place, that storyline might change a little bit. So it's a whole like choose your own adventure text game, and it's freaking awesome.
Built into a badge you have to access from a command line.
It's so cool. It is so cool. And as you can see, I obviously got nowhere close to winning, but I collect electronic badges. So with that said, I also wanted to show you some of the other ones that I got. Like this one that's making noise. So
wrong one.
So I got a whole bunch down here actually.
Let me pull up. There was one, I thought I had the right one on the screen, but I had the wrong one.
So this one is the DC Furs badge, which is for the furries from Defcon. They have a whole badge group up there. But this one is really cute because it has the nice LED board on the front, and if you boop its nose, it says boop. And it also has a couple of buttons at the top that let you change what is happening inside of the visor. So it's a really cute one. It's basically, you know, it's there to be blinky and be flashy, and that's about it. This was one of the ones that you could purchase. Can also be plugged into a computer, so you can change what the visor says. So if I wanted it to say Snubs or Shannon, then I could change it to say Snubs or Shannon. The Maneki Neko badge is the next one that I got, and this one actually, if I turn it on, this is so cute.
Oh wait.
I love it. It's so adorable. So it just moves its arm back and forth, and it also has a little plug on the front so you can stick little add-ons into it. So you can get other little teeny tiny PCB boards and plug them into its little belly, and those PCB boards will also light up and power off of it. For good fortune, yes. The Goonbox badge, which is the one that Patrick picked up previously, this one was one of my favorites too. It doubles as a TV Be Gone as well as a sonic screwdriver, because who doesn't love Doctor Who? So I'm telling you, I am bringing this one to Gallifrey 1 no matter what. It's so cool. And the last one that I wanted to share with you was the Wireless Village one. It broke off of its little lanyard, but that's totally okay because it's actually an antenna. It's a panel antenna. So it has a little SMA connector down here. I can just plug it into like a wireless adapter, if I will, and I could just use that for wireless. I don't remember which frequencies it is on. I will have to check with the Wireless Village, but this one was really cool. It was given to me since Hack5 was a sponsor. Nice. So as you can see, there were a lot of different badges that you can get at Defcon. There were well over 50 different badges that you could have collected, some of which were only available to local clubs, like the DC Furs one, for example, or you could purchase them before the convention and get them shipped to you, like the Goonbox badge, for example. It just kind of depended on which badge you really wanted to collect. So if you are interested in learning more about soldering and hardware, which is the whole reason that I wanted to show these to you today, or building your own PCBs too, it's an excellent way to get started, because a lot of times these badges, you know, they might break if somebody plugs in their badge into yours. That's what happened to mine. So I had to solder the little ports back on to mine eventually. Or you might want to just mess around with all the different LEDs on the back and change the colors. So you could totally learn how to solder with these different badges. Some of the time, you'll get one of these badges and it will not be soldered together for you. So you will have to do it yourself. So it's a really interesting way to get kind of ingrained in the ways of soldering and hardware hacking because these are very exciting. They're cool little nifty toys. I just love hashtag Badgelife, especially because I'm a social butterfly and I like sharing visual art. And I totally consider these to be artistic and creative, and they're something that I would like to decorate a room with because they're just so beautiful.
So many blinky items.
They're so beautiful. Although, of course, I would highly suggest getting rechargeable batteries because these drain batteries really, really quick. So if you have any questions or comments about Badgelife, this is not just Defcon where this happens. There are a lot of other conventions that do electronic badges as well. You can leave them below. I'll be more than happy to chat more about badges and how all these things work. Or if you just want to learn about a little bit more about soldering and PCB boards maybe, let me know. Comment below or you can tweet me at Snubs. As you are watching this, if you're watching on Thursday, I'm currently over at Gamescom, which is happening over in, if I say this right, Köln, Germany. So this is happening until the 25th. You can check it out over on my computer right now. It's gamescom.global. But tonight I'm planning on having a meetup over there in Köln, Germany. So if you are there, definitely hit up my Twitter account so you can find out where it's at because I don't know all the details yet.
What is that Twitter account?
It's at Snubs. And speaking of which, since I'm going to be flying there, one thing that I highly intend not to do is lose my phone while I'm going through TSA at the airport.
Oh, I knew where it was as soon as I landed. Oh,
what happened?
Goodness. I don't know. We were talking about it last week. I have a very methodical, I go through, there's a Henry Rollins skit where he talks about being super, You know, my boots come off, my cash goes into my boots, my wedding ring goes into my boots, my phone goes on top of that, it all gets planted down, it puts in a bucket, and I don't go through until the bucket with my, basically I see everything go into the scanner, and then I walk through. And I picked all my gear up, and I got to my plane and sat down and reached for my phone, and my phone obviously wasn't in my pocket because it wasn't in my boot, and it didn't even occur to me that it wasn't in my boot because
that's when I would panic.
How did my phone go from my boot to Oakand TSA Lost and Found? In any case,
so what'd you do? Because we got in touch with you while you were in Vegas.
Well, it was a wonderful opportunity for me to test out this critter right here. So let me pull it up on the screen, right? The Moto G6 is the phone that spent the weekend with my friends at the TSA. And actually, TSA Lost and Found was pretty fantastic. This is what I picked up at a Target in Vegas. Because oddly enough, I had a Ting card I was going to use to activate for my son's phone. My son's going to have text messaging for his friend that moved. Life's just going to change. But this critter right here, the Motorola Moto E4, costs a hair under $130.
Wow.
And I got to say right now is way better than the G4 I carried for close to a year several years ago, which is good, right?
Yeah.
So the G6 and the E4 have a lot in common. One, they're both available cash, unlocked. They both have headphone jacks. They both use Corning Gorilla Glass 3 with an oleophobic, that's a finger grease repelling coating. They both have a nano coating that creates a water repellent barrier. It basically spills, splashes, light rain. Do not dunk them in the toilet for fun. They both have micro SD card slots, 128 gigabytes max, possibly 256 gigabytes on the G6. I have not had a chance to test that yet. And then things start to diverse.
Really?
Well, one of these things is $250, one of them is $130. So the G6, Android 8, aka Oreo, it's mostly stock. It's got a 5.7-inch 18:9 screen, 2160 by 1080p, or 2160 by 1080. It's 424 pixels per inch, an 8-core, 1.8 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon 450, 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, and it is USB-C. And it is alarmingly fast charging if your power supply can do the whole turbo power / Qualcomm quick charge, which will, basically, it's funny, Qualcomm quick charge 2.0, so they they've got like 3 and higher. It'll run like 2 amps at 5, 9, or 12 volts, which is a lot of juice to stuff into a battery.
Yeah.
The 3,000 milliamp battery could be better. Battery
really?
life, not so fantastic. It's, I don't know, I would like more battery life. It's not bad, but it could be better. 12 megapixel camera, f1.8. Depending on, I've heard both, depending on where I looked, f1.8 and f2.2, but I think it's f1.8.
Those are pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. Yeah. And then a 5 megapixel selfie camera, which we'll show off in a second. Dual cameras on the back of the G6, a 12 megapixel and a 5 megapixel camera, f1.8 for the 12 megapixel camera, and f2.2 for the 5 megapixel camera, and a dual LED, dual tone flash, which is actually pretty nice. So $249. The E4 is running Android 7.1 Nougat, which is all it will ever have. It's got a 5-inch 16:9 screen. It's a 720p screen, 294 pixels per inch, which is pretty good. Not as fabulously sumptuous as the one in this one, but for normal use, it's pretty good. A 1.4 gigahertz quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon. So literally half the cores and a third less RAM, 2 gigabytes of RAM, a Snapdragon 425, 16 gigabytes of storage. Not a fan. I would like more storage. You can live with 16 gigabytes of storage, but
is there an SD card slot or anything?
There's an SD card slot in it, so you can run like a 128 gigabyte SD card into it. A 2800 milliamp hour removable battery and micro USB charging, which I forgot how much I hate. Not because it's not fast charging. USB-C is just a much nicer plug. An 8 megapixel f2.2 camera on the back, and a 5 megapixel f2.2 camera for the selfies.
No dually?
A single LED flash. And this is, again, $130. So much like the G4 I ran a few years ago, this thing is shockingly good for the money.
Wow.
Right? It doesn't spec out. Like in a spec versus spec battle, the E4 gets spanked. But the reality is, for most of the stuff you're doing, unless you're like serious gamer or trying to edit video on your phone because you're a wild thing, the E4 is actually really good. And unlike the G4 camera was atrocious. Like I remember taking a picture of a bush with berries on it, and it was like smeared. Yeah, I mean, it was like, if you've ever seen somebody like paint something and then go, like, I exaggerate slightly, but not a lot.
That's funny.
But you know, I have pictures. I have examples here. So check this out. We have a lot of pictures we took with several phones, and what you're looking at right here is our strange little Hawaii guy with the G6. And actually better than I expected.
It's not strange.
The wonderful little Hawaii pineapple guy. But notice, it's not actually, you know, it's a little smirchy in here, but it's actually doing some pretty good job. The color seems fairly accurate. And then we go to the E4. Whoa. Which you can see, wow, there's a whole lot of sort of compression madness here. And look at the difference in the colors, though. One of these things is not like the other. And then when we went to the moss wall, this is the G6, which is kind of more yellow than the moss wall actually is. And this is the E4, which is
kind of blue.
Kind of blue, and you know, it just, you can tell where a lot of the detail is just getting smushed. It's also an 8 megapixel camera and a very inexpensive phone. This is the selfie camera on the E4. This is the selfie camera on the G6, and this is a flagship selfie camera on a Pixel 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
That's a huge difference.
I like my camera.
Yeah, well, it's also, but, you know, if I open this tab in a new window, and let's just for fun open the G6 in a new window. So you'll notice all the highlights on my shiny forehead gets blown out. And look, you can see all the aging here. And but I exaggerate, I mock myself. Look, there's pores.
Even like with your beard, you see a lot of detail.
And that's one of the things, as you spend more money on the processing on a camera, you get more detail. And these are actually both 12 megapixel cameras. Think about that for a second. You know, how radically different the sensors and the
it's all about that sensor.
And the processing.
Yeah.
You know, these are radically different results. This actually, I'm a little darker than this, but these are pretty close. Well, this is pretty close to us, and this is...
The Pixel does tend to try to brighten up an image as much as it possibly can without creating too much noise.
This is not us, that was Moss. And this is the E4, and again, you know, a lot of details blown out.
Yeah, it's pretty fuzzy.
It's kind of funny, like there's more, and it's also, these are not exactly the same photo, but, you know, you got shiny details on your teeth, but your hair sort of gets smirched, to use a highly technical term, but notice, well, yeah, but I mean, like, you can still see some, these are like, we go from like sort of helmet hair where it's sort of a mess of pixels, and oh wait, you actually have strands of hair, to, whoa, that's hair.
Wow.
I mean, think about the difference on those three. So, you know, a lot of pixels, it's messy. So the G4 camera, I gotta say, was atrocious. The E4 actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is the E4 also, it's just not a great low light camera.
Yeah.
You know, the specs don't look too bad. It's f2.2, but when you take a look at, this is the G6, and then in same, you know, this is low light. As light gets lower, the colors kind of started to gray out, I guess is what I'm trying to say, on the E4 camera.
I definitely see that as well.
Yeah. Huh. You know, a basic snapshot, having a camera, way better than anything you might have had 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And again, I want to say this is not going to be upgraded from Nougat 7.1, or as they say, this device launched with Android 7.1 Nougat and will remain on Android 7.1 Nougat. But it will receive security updates.
Oh, yay!
Yeah,
well,
literally.
at least you're secure.
Well, that's a good thing, though, right? Because
Yes.
I had like, you know.
You were at Defcon.
I picked this thing up at Target. You know, I got it online far away from Defcon, and immediately had 2 or 3 security updates on it. If you've ever purchased a phone where the updates were tied to the network, for example, oddly enough, that Motorola G4 I had, which I was using on AT&T, the updates had to go from Motorola to AT&T. And it's like, Motorola's like, well, we fixed that problem, so you'll be able to actually use an SD card.
Yeah.
And AT&T was like, yes, that problem is fixed, but we haven't done all the crap we like to do to the software before we give it to you first.
Yay.
And 10 weeks later, which was like 10 weeks after the release had been sent out, I actually got the update.
Wow.
So, you know, things have changed. And the whole Android One idea actually really appeals to me, where they're going to be like, here's your updates.
Yes.
We're going to keep giving you updates. We're going to give them to you directly.
Same.
Because then you can be more secure and your stuff will suck less, to use highly technical terms.
So good phone?
Good phone, good basic phone.
Okay, cool.
You know, just mind the camera. If you want to do, because you know, as far as I can tell, there's no raw photo access on this. It's not a fantastic sensor, but I gotta say, if you got a 2 or 3 year old phone and it's starting to drag, or you can't install things because your operating system is so low, for $130 you could do a lot worse. And I tend to trust Motorola at this point because they've been around for a long time. Yes, I know they were sold to Lenovo. We'll talk about that another time. But it's a nice phone, it's available everywhere, and it's not like, what brand is that? Why can't I get their website to come up? Because a lot of stuff, you know, I could have picked up a $70 phone, but I was a little worried about how well a $70 phone would function. Should you want me to go out and test that $70 phone, because you like to punish me, that's okay. I'm in. Send me an email, ask@TekThing.com, and we will go out and find the cheapest phones we can find, but I will not test that Nokia 3010. Was that the Nokia 3010?
Is that the brick?
Oh my goodness, was
the one that looks like it's from the 90s?
Oh yeah, it looks a lot like that.
Oh yeah. Wow. Wow. 2017.
$70.
So weird.
Yeah, well. Craziness, people. Email ask@TekThing.com. Tell us what you want to hear from the universe of phones or mobile carriers. We're listening. We love your questions, your tips, your suggestions, your products and ideas to check out. We can't do this without you. There's tens of thousands of you and just 2 of us, and you know some amazing stuff. Share it. You can tweet at TekThing, at Snubs, or at Patrick Norton, or just email ask@TekThing.com. And a big shout out to our patrons, patreon.com/TekThing. You pay the bills. You make the show possible each and every week. Our thanks to you. Hey, you can join the crew that makes TekThing happen, patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you so much for supporting the show.
We got an email from Aiden who wrote, "Hi, I love extensions for Chrome. I have been using the DuckDuckGo for a while, and I was wondering if there were any other good ones that I should add for my list. Shopping, security, or any other category. Love the show. Keep it going. Sincerely from Aiden."
Thank you, Aiden.
Thank you, Aiden.
First of all, I'm going to ask everybody watching, even if you're not a regular viewer, everyone watching, email ask@TekThing.com. I want to know what extensions you're running. I don't care if it's Chrome or Firefox or Brave or whatever it is. I'm very curious because I started talking to people about what extensions they run, and it's amazing how many extensions are out there that you never heard of.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many extensions.
It's the best.
I would like to point out Chrome is still my primary browser, but I've been running Firefox a lot since the Firefox Quantum update. Mozilla.org is where you download that. If you are thinking Firefox, where system resources went to get sucked into oblivion and die, they fixed that for the most part in Firefox Quantum. I would actually say, from a feels, not a tested standpoint, Firefox Quantum actually feels a little bit faster than Chrome these days. It may just be my reaction to Chrome being a little doggy. You are a big fan of this on Android, but I'd also say if you like blocking a lot of the stuff you would normally have to load extensions into Chrome to block, you should check out the Brave browser.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites on my phone, but when it comes to my computer, I still run Chrome.
Yeah.
I do. So one of my favorites is called HTTPS Everywhere. You've heard about it before many of times. So it automatically adds HTTPS to all sites that allow it, and HTTPS is a secure version of the websites that you browse to. So if you are putting in usernames and passwords to those websites, that means that it will be encrypted with HTTPS, as opposed to being sent over plain text, which is very, very bad. Another one that I love is called LastPass. It's the free password manager.
We both run that.
You've known about this for a long time. This extension will automatically fill login credentials when I visit a site. It will also notify me to save new credentials if it recognizes a password change on a site or a new account on the site too. So that's fairly very useful.
I just remembered something I forgot to mention, like that E4, that Motorola E4, performance was pretty fantastic. It always had issues loading LastPass.
Oh, weird.
Really weird. It was only for the most part, everything ran fine.
Works great on my Pixel.
Well, it should for what you paid for that Pixel.
Big price difference there.
Yeah, for a mere 8 times as much. Oh my goodness.
Privacy Badger is another really great one that I love to run. This one protects you from trackers, cookies from third parties as you browse. And then there is also uBlock Origin. So I pretty much decided to download this one per everyone's recommendation. So I switched from AdBlock or AdBlock Pro over to uBlock Origin. And this one blocks ads on all sorts of different sites. And then I have a few other ones that are more specific and more of a targeted market, if you will. The first one that I've been using.
I would also like to say, if you're not running an ad blocker like uBlock, add one. Well, I did that to a friend of mine. He says, my browser's really slow. You're running an ad blocker? He's like, no. I'm like, just
do it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
He made.
It will change your life.
It's amazing. If you've never run Ghostery, Ghostery is a tool that will list all of the things that are running in the background in your browser windows. It'll be like, there are 34 things sucking down information while you're doing this. It's amazing the difference
another great extension.
Ad blocker will make. Yeah.
So one of my very niche versions that I like to use, one of my niche extensions, is called TubeBuddy. So this one is for YouTube, and it's specifically for YouTube creators. So this adds TubeBuddy abilities in your browser, like it allows me to bulk update all my YouTube videos. It allows me to add cards or add little notations that you can click on when you're watching our videos on mobile to all of our cards or all of our videos. So this is only useful for YouTubers, and it's great if you run TubeBuddy, I guess I should say, Pro, which does cost money. But in that sense, it is very, very useful for me, and it saved a ton of time, so I love using their extension.
To make it clear, YouTube creators.
Yes.
Not so good for YouTube consumption, but for YouTube creators.
Exactly, just like I said. Tab Resize is another one that I really enjoy. So this one came from my coworker Jason, and this is really great because it lets you choose a customized split screen for all of your tabs or windows, and it has multi-monitor support, which is super, super wonderful outside of just Windows 10 built-in different extensions for resizing. This one allows you to resize all your different tabs as well. So you can see multiple tabs on your screen, and all of them will be separated into different boxes. It is so nice and organized. It's great if you're like somebody who's really likes to multitask, or maybe you have several different things going on at the same time during work.
Right.
That's when I usually end up using it. And the other one that I wanted to mention, and this is my last one for the list, it's called Wunderlist New Tab. So this one is really cool because anytime you open a new tab, like you will see mine here, a Wunderlist will show you front and center what you always need to know about your next task that you need to complete. And I can change my task list too. So if there's something specific going on, like I need to look at my list for Tuesday or something, then I can change it to that list, and then I can see specifically what is going on for those tasks. So anytime I open up this new tab, I am going to see that task list, which I find to be very, very useful, especially if I'm like not paying attention to my Wunderlist one day, or maybe my notifications are turned off. That way I'm still forced to see my task list.
Well, it just hammers your to-do list into your skull every time you open a tab.
It's true.
It taunts her.
It does taunt me. I still have a Defcon list on here, which luckily is pretty much dead now, but if I delete it, then you don't have anything on your task list and it looks amazing. It's wonderful.
Inbox zero.
Inbox zero. Woo!
Oh my goodness. We actually run a lot of the same tabs.
We do.
LastPass is something we use around here pretty constantly. MuBlock Origin we mentioned. One tab is actually really slick. You've heard me comment on how I'll have like 300 tabs open. One tab's really cool because you can essentially turn all of the tabs in that window into a list that sucks down 0 resources, and then you can either expand it back up. Well, here.
Dude.
Yeah, actually I won't do it right now because things will explode in the middle of the show. Not because it's a problem.
I should use that when I'm researching for ThreatWire.
Yes. Total
Mind
game
blown.
changer. I mean, literally, like I often have over 100 tabs open.
Yeah.
It's not good for system resources or CPU suckage, or worse yet, when I have to go into a Skype recording or a Google Hangout, and all of a sudden you realize your browser is sucking down like 40% of your processor. Yeah. Just click on the one tab icon and bang, they all turn into a list. It's really awesome. Shannon mentioned a bunch of the more obscure ones she uses. I've got a few of those too. One of my favorites is actually page load time, and what it does is it tracks how long it takes something to load. It's not
smart.
Yeah, it's not actually, but it's interesting because sometimes if you're trying to figure out if an issue is with the browser or with your internet connection or with some additional piece of software, it can be really helpful for that one. And I also want to mention some cool extensions that I've learned about recently that I don't use too often, but I'm starting to play around with. I did not realize that there was an extension for the Wayback Machine. So if you run into a 404, or if you think, like, didn't this have something on this webpage? You can actually automatically go in and look up the information for that website on the internet. Wayback Machine.
That could be dangerous.
iDropper is really cool if you play around with art, because it's essentially like the iDropper tool in Photoshop.
Ooh.
It allows you to, it's open source, which I love. It allows you to pick colors off of a web page, or you can do a color picker or work off your color history, because you know me, I love the colors. Robert Heron, huge fan of Grammarly for Chrome. Grammarly is a grammar checking tool, and this actually builds it directly into Chrome so he can run it on, for example, Google Docs or email or anything else out there. And as you mentioned in your email, I've been flipping back and forth between DuckDuckGo Privacy Essentials and running Privacy Badger and MuBlock.
Cool.
Because sometimes I just like to switch up all the privacy things that are making all the irritating things in the browser go away.
You know, I won't lie, I've been running Malwarebytes with no issues. It's been pretty cool, so I've been enjoying Malwarebytes too, that brand new one that I tested in beta, so I'm pretty happy with that one too, and I decided I should mention that.
Oh my goodness. We want to know what your favorite Chrome extensions are, because there's tens of thousands of you and there's 2 of us, and we can only run so many Chrome extensions simultaneously before our skulls collapse underneath the Chrome extension enjoy, or your Firefox add-ons or whatever you want to tell us about. Do us a favor, email us, ask@tekthing.com. We're curious.
We got a tweet from Forstraw, who tweeted at TekThing, "What is your opinion of iDrive cloud backup?"
Well, to be perfectly honest, Forstraw, neither of us had ever heard of it before you mentioned it. It's kind of like VPNs.
Yep.
There are about 80,000 different options, and we can't test them all. But I would like to point out that there are two products, actually 3 products that we are pretty happy with. I use Backblaze to back up all of my systems, and also if you have a NAS you want to back up, this is really cool, Backblaze B2 Cloud Storage, which is a fairly cheap way to back your terabytes on your NAS up to the clouds.
That's nice.
Shannon, however, uses a different product.
I do. Yeah, I use SpiderOak. I've been using them for a very, very long time. That's what I use for all my cloud backups of all of my things, my video and my photography, mainly because they have a no knowledge policy and because they have encryption from the ground up. So I am not worried at all about SpiderOak seeing anything that I do. And they also don't have access to my password or anything like that. So I really like them just from a privacy standpoint. Yeah. They are slightly more expensive, but I believe that's because of the privacy standpoint too. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's Backblaze. All of your stuff gets encrypted before it goes up to their servers, so even if they get access to the servers, they shouldn't be able to get to it. I would like to test all of the backup systems, but there are 3 things going on. 1, there are so many of them. 2, it takes a long time, even for a fast cloud backup system, to back up even a few hundred gigabytes off your system.
True.
And 3, what happens, the way things work in my network and her network and your network and the office network and their network are almost always going to be different. We run into with VPNs, generally speaking, this VPN does good performance and this VPN not so much, but results are going to vary a lot depending on who your ISP is and how things are routed and what you're actually accessing.
Totally.
We try. Oh my goodness. And a big thank you to Hack5 for the studio space. If you haven't been there, do yourself a favor, go to hack5.org. They have some fantastic security and privacy podcasts, including one that is hosted exclusively by your friend Shannon Morris. Then check out the superior pen testing and USB automation tools over at hack5.org/gear. There are so many useful things in that screen right now. I don't even know what to tell you about the awesomeness, but I will remind you once again that this critter right up here, that's a packet squirrel. It's a man in the middle attack in a box. And the switch allows you to basically do different things with it.
It's true.
Wonderful.
It's awesome. And remember, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from the screen, close the laptop, and do something analog, like go to Gamescom or get your eyes checked, because that's very important.
Turns out 2 years between eye exams is a bit longer than your optometrist would like, and I apparently need to get my reading glasses adjusted.
Can you see me?
I can see you as a fuzz. Actually, at this point,
I'm getting my eyes
you're getting kind of
checked
fuzzy.
Tomorrow, as of time of recording, so I'm super excited.
I got to that age where I couldn't solder anymore.
Oh.
And I got reading glasses and I can solder.
Oh.
Oculomacular degeneration is the thing that gets accelerated
yes.
if you spend most of your adult life staring at a screen at a fixed distance.
Yep, that's a thing.
If you haven't been in a while, go see an optometrist. Your skull might hurt less at the end of the day. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
So guess what I did? I went and ordered Sailor Moon frames from a Japanese store, and they just came in just in time for my optometrist appointment. So I'm gonna ask her if I can get lenses put into my Sailor Moon frames.
Is it like Sailor Moon holding your glasses?
No,
or are they like
they
super
look
giant
normal.
and big?
They look normal. They just have cute little Sailor Moon emblems and stuff on the sides.
Sailor
It's very
Moon symbols?
discreet. Very discreet Sailor Moon fandom. So you can't tell. Although I do have some that look exactly like the cosplay ones that she wears with little wings on them. They're red and they got wings. And I was thinking maybe I should get prescription lenses in those too and then wear them on the show.
I'm just waiting for you to wear the glasses on the train and you're to come in and be like, somebody was staring at the side of my skull! And we'll be like, these are Sailor Moon glasses. And you'll be like, oh.
Oh yeah!
Well, was it your shoes that somebody was staring at?
Yes! But she told me that she loved them and that she was a fan of Sailor Moon.
That helped.
So it worked out really well.
It was, yeah.
I made a friend.